All right.
Hello, everybody. This is Cup of Joe, and I have a profound privilege of having a guest today, Reekay. How you doing?
Good. Good. Good.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on, and hopefully you can steer me in the right direction. I'm 33 weeks away from moving to the Philippines. I'm a registered nurse here in California, and I plan to retire and move to the Philippines. And so
Hmm.
I I noticed that what's been going through my mind here as of late is I've been to the Philippines a few times, and I'm noticing that going over there for 2 weeks or 3 weeks at a time is a lot different than planning on going over there and setting up residence. So I was hoping that you might be able to speak to that, and what are some of the things that I can do here on my way out the door, and what I can do as in advance, maybe even before the wheels hit the ground in the Philippines.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Taking a 2 week vacation versus moving there permanently. Obviously, there's different logistics to deal with. Um, Now, the good news is that staying in the Philippines for 3 weeks, at a hotel or something, or even an Airbnb, is actually more expensive per month than to stay there long term because uh, when you stay long term and say you get a 3 or 6 month lease, at a apartment, a house, a condo, you're going to get a better rate, than you would staying at a hotel at say 35, $40 a night. With your lease, it can be as little as 12, $14 a day. So there's one big advantage to moving to the Philippines full time. Um, Now, as far as things, I call it ducks in a row. As far as getting your ducks in a row before you leave your home country, you want to take out a pen and paper and then just start thinking what sort of items are big enough that you would have to make a trip back for. So one thing that comes to mind, which I wish I had done when I first left, was your state residency. Because if you're going to live in the Philippines full time, you know, unless you're in one of the, I believe it's 9 states that doesn't have a state income tax, the other states will still expect you to file a state income tax form and pay taxes, even though you're not there for the whole year. And it may come down to zero because again, it depends on the state. For instance, California, if you're out of, maybe this applies to all states, but if you're out of the country for 12 months, the entire year, and I think they even allow like 11 months 1 year, or I mean 11 months 1 week. But basically, if you're out of the country, out of the United States for a year, as long as you're making below, I think it's $110,000, you have to file an income tax, but you're not going to have a lot of tax liability.
Mm.
So, and that's for money earned outside. Now, if you're earning rental income in, say, California, yeah, you're going to have to pay tax on that. But so one of the ducks to get in a row is if you have the time, just Google, no state income tax states. And there's like a list of about 9 of them. And then just find which one best suits you because you may want to pick a state that's near your kids, in case you want to visit them. You may want to, and if you never plan on living there, it almost kind of doesn't matter whichever one's the easiest to meet the residency requirements for. I believe South Dakota is only like 24 or 48 hours.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you mentioned South Dakota.
Yeah.
Before I started working full time back again with the VA, I worked as a travel nurse,
Hmm.
and I have South Dakota residency. My nursing license is South Dakota.
Perfect.
I've got my mail forwarding company that's in South Dakota, and I had to spend one night to get the residency there. So I have that duck in a row, as it
Good.
turns out,
Good.
from
Good.
from being a travel nurse, it worked out well for me.
Hmm. Now, the second item that you mentioned is, again, you can find one in your area. Just type in the name of your city, and then they call it. You could probably Google it under scan and send. What they do is it's the same as a post office box. You have your mail forwarded there. You're going to have to sign a little form with the post office in person because they're going to want to see your ID and all that. But you basically forward your mail to this service, which is about $10 to $12 a month. They will receive your mail and then they will scan it and send it to your email. So that this way, daily, you can view your mail, regular postal mail, and ask for the ones that also provide the service that if you order a new credit card, it'll show up to them. They'll drop it in a FedEx envelope and send it to you wherever you happen to be in the Philippines. That way you can keep your credit card, things happening. Because the only other way to, again, get your renewed credit cards, debit cards, and all that is if you're using, say, a family member's address. Now, some people, their family's on top of it. Some of them, it may go in a drawer and they forget all about it. And they're not going to be scanning your email or your regular mail all the time. So it's worth paying the $12 or $10 a year, per month to get that kind of a service. So that would be like item number two to take.
Yeah, on the item number two, it's through America's Mailbox is the company in South Dakota, and they have different levels: bronze, silver, gold, and I think I'm a silver. Where the gold, which is you're speaking of, which would be something that would be great, was I don't have them scan it. They hold it, and then when I say drop the mail, they send it to me. Where yeah, by having them scan it, they open it up, they take a picture of what it is, and I've never paid for that service, that would make a lot of sense to pay for that.
Yeah. Now, the third thing to have kind of on your checklist is anything that you have in a storage unit. Now, again, everybody's situation is different. Some people have a family member that you can ask them, you could put it in one of those plastic totes, just stuff you want to keep, maybe stuff from high school or whatever, stuff that you don't need in the Philippines. You may have a family member that you can put all this stuff in a couple of those totes from Home Depot and say, hey, can I just stick this in the corner of your garage? And if they're okay with it, well, then great. But here's the problem, and I have a friend of mine who went through this. He knew he was moving to the Philippines permanently, but he had a large amount of stuff that it was just too much to be putting on a plane, and he really didn't need it in the Philippines, but he wanted to keep it, didn't have any family to leave it with, so he put it in a storage unit. Well, as the years go by, it occurs to him that, again, rates vary around the country, but like say here in California, even a very small closet-sized storage unit can be $35 a month. So at that rate, you're spending about $300 to almost $400 a year for this stuff that may not even be worth $400, and that's
Right.
just the first year. Second year, $800. Third year, $1,200. And so he ended up spending $1,000 to fly back and just sell it on Craigslist and whatever, and then going back to the Philippines. So to me, having a storage unit when you're going to live permanently in the Philippines really doesn't make a whole lot of financial sense.
Well, I should mention that I own a home in Arizona, in a 55 and older community, and I plan to winter in Arizona from like November through March. The best time to be in the Philippines, I want to be in Arizona, and so I have a garage. I'll have even if I rent the place out, I'll have a corner, like you say, of the garage that is, owner's locker or something like that. So which brings me to the point that it's like I want to spend 6 7 months in the Philippines, and how would I handle the stuff that I acquire, like a motorbike, or if I rented a place, or that wasn't completely furnished, and then I buy furnishings, and here, you know, November rolls around and I want to be back in Arizona. Can you speak to how to handle that situation where the expat is actually spending several months a year back in the U.S.?
Well, there's the bulk buy-in box, and that's perfect because you're not in a big hurry. If you start accumulating a lot of stuff in the Philippines, then you can always get, it's a pretty big box. It's about 2.5 by 2.5 by 2.5, box. And it doesn't matter the weight. So use lots of shipping tape. And you just fill up the box with all this stuff. It's generally about $95 to have it shipped bulk buy-in. And if you're in the United States, just go on Google, type in Asian markets and then the name of your city. Find the nearest Asian market that sells like Asian groceries and stuff, and they usually provide bulk buy-in service. If not, maybe in the comments we could put bulk buy-in, how to spell it. But you can also find bulk buy-in providers in the United States to send stuff if you have an address to send it to in the Philippines. So that's one way you can deal with that, because now it'll take a while. It may take anywhere from 5 to maybe 8 weeks to get there. It's like I said, a flat rate, about $95. Put a lot of shipping tape. Because if you want to send it FedEx, well, just sending a couple of documents is about $25. And if you wanted to send, like at one time, I wanted to send, my mom collects dolls, and I got a doll for her in the Philippines, and I was going to ship it. Now, the doll only cost about $25, but to ship it was going to be like $80. So you're not going to be shipping a whole bunch of pots and pans and mixers and whatever in a box through DHL or FedEx or any of that. Bulk buying is about the cheapest way you can go.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I don't know that I can do it the first time coming out the gate. Like you said, having an address. So if I had established a spot, uh,
Mhm.
I keep on thinking it'll probably be a condo, but if I establish a spot, then yeah, I could see even if it was 10 boxes,
Mhm.
having 10 boxes of my stuff from here over there would that's $1,000. That'd be uh, maybe easier than going out and trying to replace that stuff in the Philippines if you could even find it.
Well, that's where it becomes a judgment call for each person. Now, me, life becomes so much easier being a minimalist. When I get ready to go back to the Philippines, I'm just going to take two carry-ons. That's it. And one carry-on is going to be my computer and video equipment, along with some possible belongings, some gifts, for my girlfriend's family and all that. And the other one is going to be my clothes and personal items, which I only need like really a week's worth of clothes, because you wash your clothes, you're going to be near the laundromat or whatever. So for me, being a minimalist makes life so much easier. I can go island to island. I can be packed in 20 minutes and on the ferry and at the place, and unpacked in 10 minutes, so it makes life very easy. Now, there's different types of expat experiences guys are looking for. Some guys go there and they only plan on like maybe looking at one or two places, and then they're going to settle down long term into that place. Uh, they're not going to be bouncing island to island like I have, because when you stay in one place, even if it's 6 months a year, you decide you want a better toaster, you want a better blender, you want certain kinds of pots and pans, and you start accumulating a lot of stuff. And now you can't just put all that in a backpack and get on your motorbike and ride to the next island. You have the logistics of having to rent out a truck, get it all onto a pallet at the shipping company, do the manifest. I've done that before and I'll never do it again. It was just way too much paperwork going to this office, that office, that office. Meanwhile, the ship's going to leave. You have to get it done. And then when you get to your location, same thing. Now you may have never been to that island before, but you got to get that stuff off of the ship. And then you got to get it from the pier to wherever you're going. So to me, that's way too much hassle. I like just owning a few things. Now for the guys that are going to pick one place and stay there and accumulate stuff, my rule has always been whether I'm going to the Philippines or coming back to the United States. My rule is if I can buy this easily when I get there, I'm not dragging it with me. So I've left behind, and I usually tell the landlord, I take pictures and I send it to them and I say, look, I'm leaving behind the blender, the toaster, this, that, whatever. Um, I would rather just buy it again when I get to the other, place. That's me. I
Yeah.
I don't want all the hassles of shipping things and all that. Now, other guys, they have a different situation. I know plenty of guys in the States going to live permanently in the Philippines. They plan on doing home improvement. They plan on adding rooms to their home. They want to take their quality tools. So I get that. They've got really good, whether it be Stanley or whatever the Sears tools, the Craftsman. They want to take it. I can understand that. They don't want cheap tools like they have a lot of times, the Chinese stuff, whatever. So it depends on your situation, but the general rule is the more stuff you have, the less bouncing around island to island you're going to do.
Well,
Until you get settled, you got a home base. Well, then you can lock everything up and you can go bounce around all you want. But now you're paying for two locations. You're paying for the home base and you're paying for wherever you're going to go.
one thing I remember, one of the last trips I made to the Philippines, my daughter and I went to Boracay, and then we went to Bangkok,
Hmm.
and and by the time we got home, we had been on 8 different flights, and
Hmm.
the flights in country are really affordable until you start having a bunch of luggage. So I told her,
Yeah.
we'll buy that when we get there. Just have a carry on, and the money that you save on not having a check bag, you're going to be able to buy that where you get probably for cheaper than what they'd charge you for the
Oh, yeah.
suitcase.
Yeah, because let's say you have, because when you get the inexpensive tickets to go island to island, it can be as little as $45. And if you wait for a promo, heck, you can fly for $20. But you're only allowed one carry-on. So if you
Right.
want to take extra luggage, that could be anywhere from extra 50 to $100. So if you're dragging this stuff on 5 different flights, well, heck, you could end up spending $200 just in luggage fees. Is the stuff even worth it? you know?
Yes, kind of like having the stuff in the storage shed. The cost of the storage shed costs more than the stuff worth in the shed. So
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah. So my goal would be, I think, to do the research, get some help on doing the research on where would be ideal to settle, and I've got some ideas. And the first time I go over there, do Airbnb or short term lease of 3 months or 6 months at the most, and then when I come back to the U.S. or before I come back to the U.S., look at buying a condo in whatever town I want to be in. And I'm thinking that I want to be no more than 100,000 people, so I want it to be large enough that they have a lot of decent restaurants and coffee shops, and small enough where I can ride a motorbike and get around myself without worrying about the traffic as much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. I'm really a big advocate proponent of every expat crafting their expat experience based on their personal preferences, because we don't all want the same thing. Me, I'm the nomadic type. I like to bounce around, about every 6 months. Some places I only stayed 2 months, 3 months, but I like bouncing around. um, and then some guys, they want to just settle down and start doing a garden, and buy a place and start adding on a work shed, or everybody wants different things. Some people want the condo life, so for them, like I know a couple of guys there in Cebu, they're like committed bachelors. They don't plan on getting married, so they went ahead and bought like a two-bedroom condo, which is plenty big, but they don't plan on getting married. They don't plan on having kids, or adopting in kids, so for them, the condo life is perfect. Because once you have kids, well, kids need room to play outside, and they might want a dog or whatever. So I'm really in favor of guys just knowing what they want and then crafting their experience, based on what they want. Because there is no one cookie cutter way to be an expat. There's certain things you got to do, but how you do it is a whole different thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not thinking that there'll be any children in the picture, and I'm not even looking at marriage in the future. So for ownership is why I've been leaning toward the condo, and then another reason why I think a condo would make sense, and I can bounce this off you, is that if I'm going to be back in the U.S., say November through April, those are the perfect months to be in the Philippines. So if I had a condo, it would be very rentable if I did the Airbnb when I wasn't there. So perhaps I could have it paying for itself,
Mm.
half of the year.
Yeah, I mean that is a plan, but the atmosphere right now, post COVID, um, I've been talking to different friends of mine that are returning, and they're returning to the same condo they rented before COVID. The prices are like 40% lower. They're these all these people that have condos and Airbnbs and all that. It's like 70% vacancy rate. It's a renter's market. So if you're a renter, it's great for you. You can pretty much negotiate a very low rent, and you can walk away and there's 50 other condos in that building available. So I wouldn't, just a word to those who are thinking, oh, I'll just rent out my condo when I'm not there. um, right now anyway, it's a renter's market, lots of vacancies. Expats are still drifting their way back in. It's only been since February that they opened up the border. So, and that's only for vax for the most part. But anyways, there's a thing going on in Cebu that's looking promising. But all in all, right now, plan on making that payment yourself, because even if you have it on Airbnb, it may go empty all year. Just like the other 70%. And I know when I left there, a year ago, at night I would look out my window at the other condo buildings around me. I could see quite a few of them. Entire buildings, there might be three, maybe four lights on. 9 p.m. There's literally, like, on one whole side of the building, four tenants, and there's got to be at least 50, 60 units. You know.
Well, speaking of that, then, so say my plan is just to come over and rent a condo for 3 months or 6 months, and
Uh-huh.
they're asking, let's say they're asking 30,000 pesos a month. Do I have how much leeway is there for me to say I don't want to pay 30, I'll pay 20 or
Yeah,
I
there's a
mean,
lot of leeway right now. In fact, before even showing up, maybe when you do show up, just so that they're halfway in it, let them know. Well, I'm just looking to spend. 250, 275, no more than 300 a month. I mean, like I said, for instance, one buddy of mine, he just returned to Cebu, literally like yesterday, and he's back at the same condo unit that before I believe he was spending about $500 a month before COVID. Now he's getting it for 250. So yeah, there's a lot of leverage we as renters have right now. We can pretty much negotiate whatever price. I mean, within reason. Um, they're just because they want 500 a month doesn't mean you got to pay it. You can just tell them, well, this is my budget. Can we do this or not? And if they say, well, it's really 500, maybe I go 480. Okay, well, thank you. I'm going to continue looking. And as you start walking away, that's when you're going to realize how desperate they are. You know, if they're going to be
I got
stubborn about it, you walk away. But if they really need the money, they're going to go, okay, wait. Okay, let's do 275. I mean, that's the situation right now.
Oh, that's great. So back to what we started with, getting my ducks in a row. We got to like two or three.
Uh-huh.
What's duck number four?
Well, this
Of
is all preparation you're doing in your home country, before going there. The fourth one, I would say, is think of any legal reason, any legal necessity that would bring you back to your home country. You want to take care of that. For instance, your passport. Um, if you've only got a year or two left on your passport, get a new passport because then it's good for the next 10 years. And I recommend it's like an extra $10 or something. Have added pages put on your passport because you don't know. You may want to take a trip to Vietnam. You may want to just check out Thailand. Every time, you go in and out, like Cambodia, they use an entire page. Their sticker uses an entire page in your passport. So does Vietnam. I don't know about Thailand, but so if that's one legal reason you'd have to come back home. Now, actually, you could. I've done this. I've renewed my passport in Cebu. But if you're living, say, in Dumaguete, or you're living in Davao, or you're living in Manila, actually, you could probably renew it at the embassy in Manila as well. You're going to be taking a trip. So if you look at your passport and you've got less than a year on it, it's only really good for 6 months because once it has less than 6 months validity to it, basically most everybody sees it as not valid. You're not going to get your visa extensions and all that. So one legal reason would be your passport. Another would be, and some of the guys have this issue, is child support. If you owe, I forget what the amount is, but I think it's like 25,000. Or if you're in serious arrearages, they can restrict your travel. So if guys owe a bunch of child support and they know it, they may book the flight and everything only to get to the flight and realize they're not going to be allowed on board because the district attorney put basically a hold on their passport. So if guys have child support arrearages, take care of that. Same thing with alimony and whatever. Um, if you have a small claims case, if you have somebody suing you, whatever legal thing you got, hanging there, resolve it. That might even be property taxes. Get them taken care of. Just get anything you can think of legal that you're like, dang, now I got to fly back to my home country because I got to take care of this. Take care of it now. Now, maybe this would be the time to transition into the list of things we were talking earlier about, like having a game plan or a script for once you land and things to do, like say the first 30 days. Um, you
Yeah,
know,
let's do that.
so you get off the plane in the Philippines. Uh, first thing is going to be uh, corralling all your stuff, your luggage and everything. They do have these carts, so if you came with a whole bunch of stuff, you can get the carts. And then you're going to want to go out the airport. Do not just ignore the people that are right outside the door saying, hey, we got a shuttle, we got a car. All of those are overpriced. They're grossly overpriced. Just ignore them. They'll even try to grab your luggage sometimes. And I just tell them very firmly, no, I'm okay, and just keep going. And what you want to do is just walk down the sidewalk, and they'll have on the airport a taxi queue. Now, a lot of people freak out over this, but it's no big deal. They'll have like a line of white taxis and a line of yellow taxis. The only difference is one of them, the startup fee is like 20 pesos, and the other one, the startup fee is 40 pesos. Well, unless you're going down the block, it doesn't matter because you're going to go further than 40 pesos to get to your hotel. It really doesn't matter. So, whichever one has the shorter line, take that one.
So,
Okay.
so,
All people
so,
that are, you'll see like 60 people in the cheaper one. It's ridiculous. They're going to spend whatever they're going to spend anyway. They're doing that thinking they're going to save money. They're not going to save any money. So just take the shorter line. So then you get to your place, you unload all your stuff into your.
let me interrupt for a second. So,
Yeah.
um, uh, it occurred to me as soon as I got in the taxi, I don't have any pesos.
Hmm.
I've still got American money. So, do I exchange it here in the U.S. or do I exchange it right there in the airport, or how do you do the exchanging before you get in that taxi?
If you really want to have it, on you when you board your plane, then you can go to your bank. Again, every bank's different. I don't know how much Philippine pesos your local American bank's going to have on hand. Now, what you can do is either on your layover or when you land in the Philippines, you can, and we'll get to this in a second, you can use your debit card or credit card. You can go to the ATM, and when you ask for money, it's going to come out in pesos. Okay. Now, what you want to do before you board your plane, this is another thing for the to-do list, is contact your bank online. They'll have a little thing there, or call them on the phone and give them a travel notice. Tell them, I'm going to be in the Philippines starting this day. So if you see me using an ATM card in the Philippines, it's because I'm on vacation or I'm away. And otherwise, your bank won't process the request at the ATM machine. In fact, they won't. They'll think somebody stole it. You know. So give that travel notice. So back to your question, you'll land in Mactan, Manila, wherever you're landing, and just they'll have ATMs right there in the airport, and you can just, I wouldn't pull more than maybe $100, and that'll take care of you for a whole week, you know. Uh, just pull because the exchange rates might be a little higher there in the airport. I know they're definitely cheaper when you go to the money exchangers. You get the best rate at the money exchangers. So if you have like some $100 bills, that you took with you in your wallet, go to the mall after getting money at the ATM just to get you by. Go to the mall, not the money exchangers in the airport. They have a worse rate. Go to the mall, ask where the money exchanger is. Every mall has one, and that's where you'll get the cheapest rate. You can convert your $100 bills into pesos. But for the
Okay,
taxi,
got it.
you're going to the ATM in the airport.
Okay, gotcha. So now I'm in the taxi. They're taking me to predetermined location. One thing I've done in the past in Manila, I think it's at Terminal 3, is I booked my first night right there across the street on Newport Avenue, I think it is, or something like that, a nice Airbnb. So I could avoid the taxi altogether. I just walk,
Oh,
2 or 3 blocks from the airport.
uh-huh.
If it's Terminal 3, I don't know about the rest of the terminals, but
Yeah, one consideration is that's okay in the daytime, but you don't want to do that landing there at 3 o'clock in the morning.
yeah, good point. And I have come in at 3:55 or something in the morning.
Yeah, it gets sketchy. I had an issue with guys trying to rob me and it was only 11 o'clock at night there in Cebu. So anyway, so now you get to your apartment, and my personal list. Once I've got my stuff in there, um, I want to get my phone set up. Oh, actually, this is another thing you'll want to do if you don't already have a Philippine SIM card, which you already have probably. Although I don't know, it may be expired by now if you're
I,
on
I
E.
don't I don't have a SIM card.
Well, when you land at the airport, there's these girls. You'll see them. They're dressed in the blue globe dresses, whatever, and they got the little brochures. At the airport, when you land, inside the airport, you can buy a Globe SIM card. They'll do everything. They'll open up your phone, they'll put it in there. I ask them to write down my phone number because it's written in teeny tiny little numbers. So I ask them, what's my phone number? They'll write it down, put it in my wallet, and then I tell them, okay, put me on a promo, a plan. They call them promos. Put me on a promo. I want 30 days of internet, and it's usually $20. 999 pesos for 30 days of internet. This way, when you get to your hotel, your
And
whatever,
this will work on my iPhone.
what's that?
This will work on my iPhone. This will work on my iPhone, or do I need to have a phone that I bought in the Philippines?
Well, it doesn't matter where the phone was purchased. What matters is if it's locked or unlocked. Now, a lot of the cheaper phones that you get at Walmart and whatever, they're unlocked, and you can. So, what I would do is if you got your phone from iPhone or from Apple, or you got yours from Verizon on one of their promo plans, ask them, is my phone locked or unlocked? Because I'm going to the Philippines. Now, worst case scenario, you get to the airport, you get your money, you get your taxi, you get home. You can go into the nearest mall. You can buy a brand new, really good smartphone for under $100. If you really were tight on money, you could get a nice smartphone for like 45 bucks. That'll do the job, run apps, the whole nine yards.
Really?
You know, so worst case scenario, you go in the mall. They've got plenty of phone stores, lots of competition. The phone that I'm still using now is a Samsung Galaxy. I don't think I paid more than 125 bucks for it, and it does everything I need it to do. Now, the reason I put the phone as one of the first things you want to do once you're settled into the apartment is you want to install the Grab uh, app, because Grab is going to keep you from getting ripped off by the taxis. With Grab, everybody knows you punch in the address. If they want to take the long way getting there, they're not getting paid anymore. Flat fee. So I use Grab to get around. I refuse to deal with taxi drivers that take you the long way just to pad up the meter.
They don't know
So
the color of my skin.
yeah. So I see getting your phone sim as like one of the first things you want to do once you settle in. Find out where the nearest mall is, get in there, get to the phone store, get your promo set up, and now you got internet. Get Grab on there. Now you got transportation. The next thing I usually do is, even if I land late at night, if the hotel provides me a couple bottles of water, I'll wait till the next morning. But to me, water is the first thing I want to know I can get. If I have to, I'll walk a couple blocks and go to the 7-Eleven, get a couple bottles to hold me over. But if I'm in an apartment, usually I buy the 5 gallon, containers, and they'll have some way of, thing dispenser. I want to know where's the nearest place and will they deliver? Because sure, I could schlep on over there and carry a 5 gallon bottle of water 2 blocks. Why would I? I mean, I don't care. I'll pay the guy 20, 40 pesos to drop it off at my door, you know? So water is like my first priority. I can go days without food, but I need water. you know, the next priority is food. It's like I get on Google, I open up Google Maps, I set it for my current location, and then I just kind of type in food and zoom in, zoom out. You'll find out just 2 blocks away. There's a place to get breakfast 24 hours a day. There's most of the restaurants are at the mall, but there's other restaurants nearby. You may have had no clue there was a restaurant
True.
2 blocks around behind you, but if you look on Google Maps, you'll find all the food places. So
Good one.
that's a big one. Yeah. And then after that, it's really just learning the area. Usually my next day or day after, depending on how tired I am, I do a walkabout. You know, I have my breakfast and then I come out my condo and I'll either go left or right, but I walk around the block. I want to know what's within 1 block of where I live. And you'll be amazed. Like for me, I love to cook. So walking around the block, I end up finding these little
That is great.
tacos.
And speaking to the phone,
What's that? Oh, I guess you kind of broke up. What was that? You said something about a phone? Oh, I can't hear you. Yeah, I'm not. I think your microphone turned off. I don't hear you.
no, I didn't say anything. I'm listening.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Now I can hear you. So what were you saying? Oh, now I can't hear you again. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, now I can hear you. Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
See if I can do it.
I think you might have a really low signal.
Okay, good. I was saying that the last time I was in the Philippines, I used my U.S. phone.
No, no more.
All right, great.
Uh,
I was saying that
all I heard
I
was
used
that.
my I did not get a Globe SIM card, and so what I that might be the case. Yeah, I I did not get a SIM card the last time I was there, and so when I went to the mall, and you can get the first hour free if you have a Philippine phone number. So I was having to go back to my condo. Okay, well it looks like got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your audio
Um,
keeps dropping in
I
and
was
out.
just saying that I found out that it's important to have that SIM card.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You definitely want to get that. It'll help you with Grab,
Can you hear me?
With Google Maps. Yeah, your
There's a
audio
big delay
drops.
here.
Yeah, your audio drops in and out about every 5 seconds. Nope, I don't hear
Go
anything.
ahead.
Uh, oh, okay. So yeah, so then you got your water, you got your SIM card. You know now where the
Go
food
ahead and
is.
finish your thought about what you're talking about.
Yeah, so you want to take a walk around the block, unless it looks really dangerous, which usually it's not. Um, and you'll discover bakeries, you'll discover mini marts, you'll discover
Yeah, I'm seeing that
places
it's
to
skipping
vegetables.
back and forth here.
Uh,
Hey,
Looking at your apartment,
why don't we?
you may want. What's that?
I was,
I can't hear you. Is there something wrong with your microphone? Is it plugged in or broken or maybe it's the signal. Maybe I think you're on a really low signal because your video is jerking like all over the place. Yeah, I think your signal is dropping out. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything.
I'm just listening. I
Oh,
didn't say
okay.
anything.
Yeah, yeah, I think your signal must have gone really low because it was okay in the beginning, but now the video is like
Yeah,
really choppy.
everything's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, so it must be your internet signal dropping out. Um, but anyways, well, so what I was saying is that taking that walk around the block, and you can venture out a little bit more, you're gonna discover what's closely available, and then you've got a go-to place for
Okay.
breakfast or a place where you can buy fruits and
What I was
vegetables,
thinking, what we
food
could do
items.
is is go ahead and end the call. And this, I'm looking at it like this call was great for. No, here, let's go ahead and end the broadcast.
Yeah, I'm not hearing any. I'm not hearing anything.
I was
I think
thinking
your signal is too